Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity character showcase, and today we're going to be looking at probably the most misunderstood character and most underrated character in my opinion, and that is going to be Sheikah Slate Zelda. Now, the thing about Zelda and what makes her so strange is that you get her very early on, and it's not abundantly clear what makes her stand out outside of the fact that her Sheikah runes are fairly unique. Now, obviously, all of her Sheikah Rune abilities have lower cooldowns, and each of the abilities can be dodge cancelled out of, and then you can use her unique ability to dodge the effects. But the main thing about Sheikah Slate is knowing when to do proper setups and then firing them off at the opportune time. The moment the enemy leaves themselves wide open to a setup, then that's when you can go in and punish. She might not have the same amount of firepower as the rest of the characters in the game, but I believe this was an intentional design choice from the creators of this game because she benefits the most from food buffs in comparison to the other characters in the roster. So the first thing to note about Zelda is that she has the ability to trigger Sheikah Rune effects, and most of the time that involves whether it is her regular Sheikah, the manual ones with the R button, or with the ones that she produces with her combos. The most important one I want to point out is her stasis. The stasis ability does quite a bit of damage. It's comparable to the amount of damage that she does in her luminescent form, but the thing is though is that you need to do it manually. If you miss your opportunity, if the stasis runs out before you have a chance to activate it, you will not get the damage bonus, but if you do a fair amount of damage to the weak point gauge as a result. Her bomb ability is fairly good for clearing out keeps. In fact, all of her bomb abilities are good, and you can actually dodge or cancel out of them and then activate, and depending on how long the bomb is out, if you do it immediately, I believe, then you will suck in all the enemies nearby and create a giant explosion. This is very useful for clearing keeps, as is her combo 3. Combo 3, you can throw some bombs, and then you can dodge cancel out of the final hit, and then activate it, and create a giant explosion. This is her main form of crowd control. Her other combos, she doesn't have very many to work with to begin with, but her combo 2, she creates some magnesis. The magnesis abilities are pretty useful for the purposes of, like, matching the prompts if you get a magnesis prompt from your enemy. But for the most part, even though the Sheikah Slate combo abilities do in fact proc the same effects, it's not as reliable as I'd like it to be, because if her attack speed isn't nearly as fast enough, which it rarely is, even with a lot of attack speed seals, it still won't be enough to kind of reasonably use stasis, for example, even if the enemy is far away from you. So really all I can say about Zelda is that, like I said, while she might not have the raw firepower as other characters, her ability to easily set up her offense, set up the weak point gauges, and use her ability to activate Sheikah runes to great effect more than makes up for it, in my opinion. And again, she does meet the median for what constitutes good damage thanks to her food buffs. Couldn't quite catch it. Like I said, it's not the most reliable thing in the world. I wouldn't recommend it very often. The best thing I can say, though, is that the moment you activate Magnesis, the most important thing that you can do when you activate Magnesis is immediately use a dash attack or a regular attack. There's a small window of opportunity. You'll also collect some nearby enemies if there are enemies that are nearby. The reason why you want to do this is because it will automatically activate the weak point gauge of the enemy. As you can see over there, you create the weak point gauge, it'll do quite a bit of damage. And usually before I go for a weak point smash, I like to do a couple of extra attacks. The moment you activate the weak point gauges, you want to immediately activate stasis, since that once you activate the magnesis, the cooldown will already start ticking down. So yes, very, very useful to know. So again, as soon as it hits, you immediately want to go for some stasis, and it activates, and that should break the rest of the weak point. On higher difficulties, it's a good idea to go for a combo 3, where you start throwing the bombs, and when she starts throwing the little bombs, that's when you want to dodge cancel out of it. Okay, we're up against a Lionel. Lionels are tricky, regardless of any character, just because you need to understand what their moves are, what the easiest moves to punish are. We're going to go in. As soon as he goes, we're going to freeze. As soon as the minecart comes out, I'm going to deactivate, dodge cancel, go for some nice damage just like that. Now, I actually made a mistake there. What I should have done is that the moment the weak point gauge smash went, I should have just gone for some regular attacks, wait for these magnesis to come back off cooldown. Okay, you can use that to interrupt the attacks. Go for a combo 3 this time. Dodge cancel. If he was in a corner, then that big bomb would have done a little bit more damage since it's closer to him. He'll get hit by the bulk of the explosion. But the moment the stasis rune comes back off cooldown, immediately go for the weak point gauge smash. Another thing I want to add is that the magnesis, if you do a weak point gauge while this magnesis is floating above me, it's gonna disappear after the animation is done, so you want to make sure you don't waste it. Again, freeze. And then again, the thing is, the timing of the stasis as well, it does have a bit of a delay to it, so instead of sneaking in hits before you go for the stasis, you want to sneak them long after the stasis has been activated manually. But yeah, fairly self-explanatory. We're going to do another round of battles with this character. Again, like I said, she's a very misunderstood character. While she doesn't have, again, the raw firepower of the rest of the characters, she more than makes up for it with the ease of being able to set up her offense against single targets. So we're going to go ahead and take her against some of the more powerful enemies of this game. Okay, so for today's demonstration of Sheikah Slate Zelda, we're going to be going and fighting the 4 Ganon Blights. This could be tricky. Hopefully I'll do this all in one recording session, because if I make too many mistakes, I might end up having some issues. But let's go ahead and quickly go over those cooking things that I was talking about. And the first thing you want to note is that there are 2 recipes that give 35% damage for your Sheikah Rune, which does scale up Zelda's damage, and then there is the additional 15%. The thing you'll want to notice about these is that the recipes are actually very easy to get. The thing about the Hylian Rice is that they're all buyable. You'll need Hylian Rice, Delphin Trout, and the Nightshade. So Hylian Rice you can always get in the May Branch co-op, and it's always in stocks of 10. So literally every single time you refresh the stock, you'll already have enough Hylian Rice to get all 3 recipes down. You don't necessarily need to go for the 15%, since it does require 1 ingredient. I think it's the Stealth Room requires 1 ingredient to get that one, but everything else though, the Stealth Fin Trout, all the stuff. So we also have Stealth and Trout here. Again, buy a full stock if you want to. And the Nightshade, sometimes it appears, this one is not as common, but it's entirely possible. Yeah, you get yourself the blue Nightshade, again, fully stocked. Every time you play a map, even if you were to use the recipes and you were to forget it for like 2, you'll still be able to break even, but if you're just buying it every single time, you'll have more than enough. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and do just 70%, I think. 70%, maybe we'll heal ourselves, that would be nice. 1 fairy? Nah, I don't want to, it feels wrong to spend a fairy, so you know what, we're just gonna go 70% today. And if you guys want to go for the 85%, by all means. And yeah, going quickly over Zelda's weapon, this is a level 30 weapon, as you can see here. I've gone and given her more attack speed, but to be honest, it's not nearly as important as I would have thought. I was kind of hoping to stack up the attack speed so that all of her abilities would come out faster so that I could punish the prompts that are given from the monsters, but I think for the most part, yeah, just go for the attack speed boosts, go for special attack damage if that helps. It doesn't really matter nearly as much, in my opinion, but yeah, just do whatever you want with this. There's only so much that you can do. If you give her more attack damage, maybe that'll be an idea, but I think special attack damage or special charge up, generally speaking, is the safest pick to go. Just double check, make sure that we're okay. Yes, very hard difficulty, and we're just gonna go ahead and jump in. I really hope I can do this all in one go. It's intimidating. We're fighting against Ganons. Can't predict the Ganons, I think. Let's do it. Now, the other thing I wanted to note when it comes to the Sheikah runes is that on very hard, getting that damage, it's not going to nuke enemies necessarily on very hard, but it is going to make the difference between like bursting it down in 1 combo versus bursting it down in 2 setups. And you always want to make sure you can do it in 1 so that you're not wasting so much time. It takes about like 20 to 30 seconds to get this entire thing going, so you want to make sure you're ready. Okay, so we're already starting out. Fairly good combo. And then the moment he falls over, wait around to see what he's doing. The moment he misses his attack, go for another combo. Okay, so again, we're kind of just stalling a bit here, making sure that we have our cooldowns ready. Like, if you just press the R button, you'll see, but don't mash while you're pressing the R button, because you might end up activating the bomb instead, and you don't want that. Okay, so he's gonna go for some stasis over here. I'm very tempted to just try to do 3 regular attacks, but like I said, it's not as fast as I'd like it to be. Again, don't waste any time trying to go for additional attacks before going stasis. Just guarantee that stasis, and then do all the extra damage attacks while this is going on. So again, we're kind of just getting him primed up. We can try to whittle him down to kill percent. We have 1 more, but we're going to do a fair amount of damage anyway, so that's good. And if you have a small window of opportunity, if you don't do the regular attack immediately, a dash attack or a regular attack is enough to activate it. And like I said, if you're fighting large groups, fighting against large groups that are wielding the metal stuff, metal equipments, will also be something that you can do. I think we can just whittle it down like normal. The Sheikah Rune buffs are doing pretty well for us. Okay, here's Fireball Ganon. Approaching Fireball Ganon is always a scary proposition, because if you're in a bad position, he can actually kill you in 1 hit, because all those attacks that he does will stack. Alright. And again, just whittling him down. That Sheikah Rune Damage, again, I think on easy difficulty and normal difficulty, the Sheikah Rune Damage is going to be a huge difference. But on very hard, again, the main reason why you want it is because it is going to whittle down the weak point gauges much faster. And keeping our distance. The moment you see him winding up for an attack, you can interrupt it immediately. Sometimes you might have to mash the dodge. If your attack speed isn't high enough, mashing dodge is the best way to go. To just ensure that you can activate it. Because as long as you have the big bomb, it's fine. What's he gonna go for? He's gonna go for a spin. Oh yeah, this attack's gonna take a while, I think. Oh no, never mind. Oh, he was about to put it down. I got scared for a second. It's like, no, don't make me do this again, please. Again, activate. The activation is extremely potent for breaking weak point gauges, assuming that they're already in weak point gauge to begin with. If you use stasis to activate a weak point gauge, you're not going to see those same damage increases. Playing with fire now. If you have a good rhythm down, what you could do as well is that you can make your approach while it's about to. You can make the approach while the stasis is just about to activate, so that during the activation animation for the Magnesis, you can stasis them the moment it becomes off cooldown. But again, we're looking for consistency and not necessarily speed for this video, because if I fail, we gotta do it all over again. That was scary. I didn't realize. I should have waited. Okay, the thing about Windblight Ganon is that this particular moveset, for the most part, is going, left and right. Going left and right tends to be the best way to dodge the attacks. That's alright, because then he's going to start aiming wherever it is that you're standing. You can just easily run away from all of that. So yeah, those giant tornadoes, don't try to dodge through them. I should have just gone to the right. Sorry. You have to prioritize going to the right, though. He prompts us for stasis, we're ready to give him stasis. My goodness, the amount of damage that you do with the Sheikah Rune buffs is really, really nice to the weak point gauges. Okay, let's try not to make any mistakes. Again, like I did, just if you see him going for an attack, just, yeah, go towards the... Always run towards the right. My goodness, these Ganon Blight attacks look amazing. Don't be afraid to dodge twice, that happens sometimes. I don't know if we can whittle them down exactly to kill percent. I think we might end up having a repeat of with Water Blight Ganon, where my attacks are going to be the thing that does them in. There we go. Okay, so yeah, my advice, always run towards the right when you're fighting against Windblight Ganon. Oh no, no, we're gonna give him the minecart of death for this one. I love this animation, by the way. Some nice little meta physics meta from Breath of the Wild, where you're just like constantly bashing a minecart and then using it as a missile to hurt someone. It's great. Flurry Rush, sure, we'll get some extra damage in. Just lock him down. Thunderblight Ganon is always going to be the trickiest one out of all of them. I don't know. I think part of the reason why, too, is because it was a similar problem that I had with Hestu, where because Thunderblight Ganon is much more closer in size to, like, a humanoid enemy, when that happens... Uh-oh. Yes, we have. I wasn't sure if I would have enough time. Turns out we did. Because he's so close in size to the humanoid enemies, it's hard to stun lock him in comparison, because it's so slippery. But thankfully, a little bit more squishy, this one. We actually do have a meter. Oh yeah, wait, I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna try something here. Lock him down, yes! Okay, so basically, I prevented Thunderblight Ganon from doing the clones. Oh, that's fantastic. I prevented him from doing the clones. So what I did a special, then I activated the Magnesis, started wailing away at him. The moment he broke out of the initial stun, I used the Magnesis to stun him again. So again, just chaining your stuns together. Like I said, she doesn't have the raw firepower of, like, what's a good example? I guess Hestu would be an example of a character of raw firepower. It doesn't have that, but again, those setups and how consistently she does it, and like that, we only got hit once fighting against the Blight Ganons, and it was the easiest one to dodge too. It was one mistake that I made, but again, Zelda's 1v1 prowess is something that shouldn't be ignored and is constantly overlooked. Like I said, very easily misunderstood. It's easy to see why it's not as blatantly obvious, but I noticed that as I go through all these different characters in the Age of Calamity roster, each of them have a chance to shine in some really spectacular ways, and I think this video does go a long way to helping reflect that too, that sentiment there, where this character that isn't as obviously overpowered as other characters can still be very useful in the proper scenarios, and even for a character that's designed to be somewhat weaker in comparison. But other than that though, Sheikah Slate Zelda, a lot of fun to use, great fun, and totally recommend if you like the idea of just constantly setting up weak point gauges against people. She's great. Really, really great character. So before we continue on with finishing off today's video, I want to point out the plan for the next couple of days. Obviously, at the time of recording, it is the Christmas holiday, and what's going to be happening is tomorrow we're going to be going over to another spoiler-y character, but this character has been promoted quite a bit on like the official Nintendo Twitter. I think this character does feature fairly prominently. You guys probably know who he is, but yeah, I'm going to be doing a showcase for him next, and then after that we're going to be going to the other plot spoilers. I know the character I'm talking about appears later in the story, but it is kind of known that he would be a playable character, but yeah, I hope you guys look forward to that. But until then, see you guys next time. Thank you for watching this showcase of Sheikah Slate Zelda. Take care, everyone.